Vishnu Paraya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin, Iti Namine, Namo Vishnu Paraya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin, Iti Namine. Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Prasadi Vishishta Shunyavadi, Vashchakari Satali Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Prasadi Nityananda, Shri Advaita Radha, Shiva Gora Bhaktivedanta, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Radha, Shiva Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaurachandra Arati Kushobha Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaurachandra Arati Kushobha Janavikata Vande Rangamana Lova Shankha vaje ganta vahe, vaje kare sala. Shankha vaje ganta vahe, vaje kare sala. Madhura miranga vaje, paramara samala. Shankha vaje, gandha vaje, madhura, madhur, madhur vaje. Shankha vaje, gandha vaje, madhura, madhur, madhur vaje. Madhur, madhur, madhur vaje. Madhur, madhur, madhur vaje. Madhur, madhur, madhur vaje. Haribo, 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 Nitai Kod, Haribo, 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 Nitai Kod, Haribo. Oh, Knoti Chandra Jini, Padana Ujvaila. Oh, Knoti Chandra Jini, Padana Ujvaila. Nala Dese Mana Mala, Ore Javamala. Nala Dese Mana Mala, Ore Javamala. Shiva Sukhana Harana, Reme Gadadara. Shiva Sukhana Harana, Reme Gadadara. Akashiri Noda Deki, Orara Sampada. Akashiri Noda Deki, Orara Sampada. Viva Jaya Raya Noda Chandre, Arati Kushobha. Viva Jaya Raya Noda Chandre, Arati Kushobha. Chandani Chatarane, Jagamana Roba. Chandani Chatarane, Jagamana Roba. Gorangiya Koti Soba, Jagajana Manoroba. Gorangiya Koti Soba, Jagajana Manoroba. Jagajana Manoroba. Haribo, 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 Nitai Kod, Haribo, 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 Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Shri Asadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Shri Asadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Shri Asadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Shri Asadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Ragopati Raghavarajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghavati Raghavan Racharam Patita Pavana Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghavati Raghavarajaram Patita Pavana Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Patita Pavana Sitaram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radhe. Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radhe. Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Jaya Sitaram Lakshmano Mandaya, Sitaram Lakshmano Mandaya. Jaya Gorang Itai, Gorang Itai, Gorang Itai, Jaya Gorang Itai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, half lion, half man incarnation of Lord Vishnu, who is our greatest protector. So we pray to Lord Vishnu to protect us from tyrants such as Hiranyakashipu. Namaste Narashingaya, Namaste Narashingaya, ki jai, Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Assembly devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Assembly devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishu Guru and Shiva. Hare Krishna. With those who are leaving now, I think there'll be some Mahaprasadam available in the adjacent room over there on your way out. Just for those who may already know, or those who are thinking of staying, now in the temple room here we're going to have an Ekadashi program, which will include a story about, in connection with Amalaki Ekadashi, which is today. Happens every year, of course. And then also there'll be some memorandums, very important. And then there's going to be a special arti, there'll be some chanting. Then there's going to be a special arti to Lord Nrsingadev, as facilitated by my good friend and colleague Narayan here, who's sitting behind me with the madanga there. So you're welcome to stay, and maybe some of you who've come especially for the evening programme, but the main thing is that everyone is welcome. So just give us about 5 minutes just to set up. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I'll just introduce myself for those who don't know me. A few of you may already do. My name is Radha Mohan Das. I've been based here at Bhaktivedanta Manor since about 1993, and I do lots of different things. Mainly I do communications secretary here, but I also do dramas, I also do presentations and interfaith, and programs like this as well. So I keep quite busy for Krishna. I try to. So tonight, in fact, every Ekadashi really, since about spring 2020, we've been doing special programs where we learn a little bit about each individual Ekadashi, each individual fortnightly fasting day. There's a story or a special benediction of that. So I'll be sharing that with you a little bit about Amalaki Ekadashi, which of course is today. Then we're going to be doing a sobering section, but a necessary section. We'll be doing our thoughts and prayers to selected members of the community who need our prayers, who need our support at this time, or for those who are remembering that may have left us, left this world maybe around this time last year. And finally, then after that, we're going to be doing a round of chanting Hare Krishna together. I don't know who has beads or who doesn't have beads. I don't know. Do we have any spare beads, Narayan? Yeah. Oh, we do, you see? We've come prepared, you see. But I've definitely come prepared, and I see you've come prepared as well. So we're going to be doing a round together of chanting Hare Krishna. And finally, for those who haven't heard me say it the first time, Narayan Prabhu then is going to be doing a special arati to Lord Nrsingadev, and that is in connection with those that we're going to be remembering today and doing our prayers for. In fact, as you can see here now, he's just got some fruits ready and a garland, and he's preparing the altar. And in fact, as I speak, he's going to be bringing the murti here of Lord Nrsingadev before our very eyes. Shri Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. There it is, you see. I didn't want to start giving an official talk until Nrsingadev was there to purify my existence and to help me through. So I'm going to start with some invocation prayers before I tell the story about today, Amalaki Ekadashi. Om Agyanam Tridam Dasya Janangala Shalakaya Chakshu Minitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Garamayam Dadati Svapadantikam He Krishna Kruna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Studevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanta Kalpatru Bastra Kepo Simbodevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pachadine Nivasesha Shunyavadi Pashachade Satadine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be telling the story about the first ever Amalaki Ekadashi. Now we all know actually, well most of us know that Ekadashi comes, this special fasting day comes about once every 2 weeks, so twice a month basically. So now there's a story that we got actually from the times of the Mahabharata. It's actually also described, the times of Ramayana, but it's described in the Mahabharata rather, and includes Vishishta Muni. Now, Vishishta Muni does appear in the Ramayana, and he was the military, if you like, and spiritual and military guru of Lord Ram and Lakshman when they were young. And he actually helped them to fight demons in the forest before Lord Ram got married. I think there's various stories, but I don't have time for that. There's so many stories, so I don't want to digress. But Vishishta Muni here is talking to King Mandata, who was actually a very great king of the time in the Treta Yuga, before the times of the Ramayana, actually. And King Mandata was in line, I don't know how many generations, but the great, or whatever, grandson of Vishnu Manu, described as the origin of mankind for this particular Yuga cycle, at least. So this particular race, unified race of mankind, can all be related to Ishvaku Manu. So a very powerful king to be in that line. So King Mandata, of course, being a king, he was only a king. He was submissive to the Munis and the Brahmanas. At the time, the kings would rule and live in great unimaginable opulence, many tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years ago. But they were always submissive and would ask questions from the great Munis and the Brahmanas, who didn't have material opulence, but they had something more valuable, which was spiritual opulence. So King Mandata invited Vishishta Muni into his palace, washed his feet, paid obeisances, and then started this conversation. King Mandata once said to Vishishta Muni, after he washed his feet, he said, "O great sage, kindly be merciful to me and tell me of a holy fast that will benefit me eternally." So King Mandata, he liked his fasting. He wanted to know about good and best times to fast. Vishishta Muni stroked his beard. All the Munis have beards, you see. So Vishishta Muni had a big white beard like this, and he stroked his beard like this. He said, "O king, kindly listen as I describe the best of all fast days, Amalaki Ekadashi. He who observes a fast on this Ekadashi obtains enormous wealth, gets free from the effects of all kinds of sins, and can attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. This is a great fast indeed. Fasting on this Ekadashi is more purifying than donating 1,000 cows in charity to a Brahmana. So please, dear king, hear me attentively as I tell you the story of a hunter who, although daily engaged in killing animals for his living and to eat, he actually managed to achieve liberation by observing a fast on this Ekadashi." So then, I won't do his voice too long because I think I'll probably choke. But this is when Vishishta Muni continues to tell this story to King Mandata. In the Treta Yuga, many thousands of years ago, there was once a kingdom named Vedisha, where all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras were equally endowed with Vedic knowledge. They were very, very strong, great bodily strength, and fine intelligence. Lying among kings, the whole kingdom was full of Vedic sounds and mantras, and not a single person was an atheist. There was hardly any crime. The ruler of this kingdom was King Pashpabinduka, a member of the dynasty of Soma, the moon dynasty. He was also known as Chitrarath, and he was very religious and truthful. It is said that King Chitrarath had great strength, and he was very, very wealthy. He had gold everywhere, golden plates, golden helmets, golden throne. There's a lot of gold in those days. And he was very wealthy, and he knew all the Vedic wisdom very, very well. Now, during his reign, not a single person in his kingdom, in the kingdom of Vedisha, attempted to practice another's dharma or duty. So perfectly engaged in their own dharmas were the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. Neither miser nor pauper was even seen throughout the land. Neither was there ever a drought or a flood, neither too much rain or not enough rain or whatever. Not like today, I don't think. Indeed, the kingdom was free from disease and everyone enjoyed good health. The people rendered loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and the king who also rendered special service to Lord Shiva. Moreover, twice a month everyone fasted on the Ekadashi. In this way, O best of the kings, the citizens of Vedisha lived many long years in great happiness and prosperity, giving up all varieties of materialistic religion, karmakanda, that's doing religion for one's own benefit rather than doing anything for devotion. But not avoiding that, they completely dedicated themselves to the loving service of the Supreme Lord. Once, In the month of Falgun, which is February, March, which is basically now, the holy fast of Amaleki Ekadashi came. King Chitrath realized that this particular fast would bestow great benefit, and thus he and all the citizens of age, or more the leading citizens, or the mayors, or the police constables, the royal household, the chief of the army, and all the main community representatives, they all went with him and to observe very strictly this Ekadashi. And then he explained to them. So King Manita turned to Vishishta Muni and said, "What is this Amaleki?" And he said, "Oh, it is like a gooseberry you find in Bharat in India. But also it has all kinds of Ayurvedic health properties. It's of great immunity, it can help with digestion. And the Amaleki tree, it is said that Lakshmi dwells within the Amaleki tree. And therefore, in those days, they had these Amaleki bushes, these shrubs, if you like, trees, growing near the temples of Lord Vishnu, because it was Lakshmi there, and Lakshmi and Vishnu should always be together. Anyway, the king and many of his subjects, they bathed in a local river, and then they went to the temple of Vishnu, where the Amaleki tree was growing. First, the king and his leading sages offered the tree a pot filled with water. Then, as well as a fine canopy, shoes, gold, diamonds, rubies, pearls, sapphires, and incense. Then they worshipped Lord Parashuram. Then they prayed to the Amaleki tree. "O Amaleki, O offspring of Lord Brahma, you can destroy all kinds of sinful reactions. Please accept our respects and these humble gifts. O Amaleki, you are actually a form of Brahman, and you were once worshipped by Lord Ram himself. Whoever circumambulates you is therefore immediately free of all his sins." So this must have happened after the Ramayana then, because they're talking about Ram. But it wasn't long after compared with today. After offering these prayers, King Chitrath and his subjects remained awake throughout the night, praying and worshipping according to the regulations of this fast. It was during this auspicious time of fasting and prayer that a very irreligious man approached the assembly, a man who maintained himself and his family and his tribe by killing animals. Burdened, he was very, very tired though. He was out hunting and he saw some commotion, some chanting of mantras, saw something going on, so he decided to investigate. What's happening in my land? This is my property. These are my animals to kill. But he was tired. It was a hot day. So burdened with both fatigue and also his own sin, the hunter saw the king and the citizens of Vedisha observing the all-night prayer vigil and worshipping Lord Vishnu in a beautiful forest clearing. And it was illuminated and circled with very, very beautiful lamps of all kinds. The hunter, intrigued, he was outnumbered, so he couldn't take them on. All he had was a bow and arrow to kill deer. So he hid behind a rock and watched what was going on. And he was absolutely amazed. In his own village, he'd never seen anything like it. So he had this, all the brahmanas were chanting, and they were doing fire yagas and all kinds of things. What's going on here? He thought. What he saw in that beneath the holy Amaleki tree was a deity of Lord Damodar, Lord Krishna, being worshipped upon the Asandeva water pot, as he heard the devotees singing songs describing Lord Krishna's transcendental forms and pastimes. Despite himself, that irreligious killer of birds and animals spent the entire night in great amazement as he watched and listened. And he listened carefully to the Ekadashi celebration, and listened to the Lord being glorified. He didn't understand any of it, but still, in his own way, he was quite impressed. But soon, minutes turned to hours, hours turned into more hours. Before you know it, it was sunrise. And the king and his royal retinue completed their observance of Ekadashi, had returned home to the city of Vedisha. The hunter returned to his hut and happily ate his meal. Of course, what happened was the hunter was up all night listening. He couldn't sleep. He was so intrigued, and he was also probably trying to see if there's any meat he could take, but he couldn't find any. But that's another matter. Anyway, in due time, years went by and the hunter passed away. But the merit he had gained by fasting on that particular Kaddishi and hearing the glorification of the Supreme Lord, as well as staying awake all night, made him eligible to be reborn as a great king, empowered with many chariots, elephants, horses, and soldiers. His name, Vasurath, and he ruled over the kingdom of Jayanti. So we have to transform our minds now to a few years later, because a few generations go by now. We have to use our imagination. So different kings have come and gone. And now, formerly the hunter is now King Vasurath, who got the benediction just from that one pious activity he did. He became the king. And that king, Vasurath, was strong and fearless, as effulgent as the sun and as handsome as the moon. In strength, he was like Vishnu, and in forgiveness, like the earth itself. The earth is always forgiving us. We tread on her grass, we abuse her minerals, we take so many things from the earth, but she doesn't complain. So it is said that the earth is always very forgiving to mankind. But the king Vasurath was very charitable and never told a lie. And he was also very, very learned. Always active in the affairs of state, he enjoyed taking care of his subjects, as though they were his own children. He couldn't bear to see any of his subjects suffer. He disliked pride, though. And if he saw any of his subjects or any of the ministers become too proud, he would smash them when he saw that and chastise them. How dare you think yourself so special? Only the Supreme Lord deserves praise. Not even myself as the king. I prostrate myself before the Lord. We are nobody, and we should never have our ego take care of our hearts. But he also gave a lot in charity. One day, while hunting in the jungle, because Kshatriyas in those days, they did hunt actually. But while hunting in the jungle, King Vasurath strayed from the footpath and he got lost in the woods in the jungle. He's looking around, looking for his other soldiers, but they'd gone a different way. He got too excited after chasing a deer for too long on his horse. And he just couldn't find where to go. What have I done? What have I done? Wandering for some time and eventually growing weary, he paused beneath a tree and put his arms as a pillow, and in the heat of the early evening he fell asleep. But as he slept, some barbarian tribesmen found him. But they were against the kingdom. They didn't like the king. They were a rebellious group, And having long-standing enmity towards the king, began discussing amongst themselves various ways how to kill the king while he was lying down. It is because this king killed our fathers, mothers, brother-in-law, grandsons, nephews, uncles, and grandfathers that we are forced to live in this jungle and wander like madmen. So they said that. They decided, let's kill the king, Vasurath. So with spears, swords, arrows, and even mystic ropes, they tried everything, but none of these deadly weapons could even touch the sleeping king. Something was protecting the king. They even got this big knife that went like this, but there was a force field around the king. What's going on? How come we can't kill him? Soon, these dog-eating tribesmen, they grew frightened and afraid. They realized there was something mystic going on. This wasn't normal. What's happening? Their fear made them feel weak, and before long, they had become almost unconscious with bewilderment and weakness and fear. What's going on? We can't even do a simple thing. They were doing this. Then one of the tribesmen, he said, I'll chop his head off with this sword. And at that moment, a great figure, a light started to come from the heart of the king, even though the king was still asleep. The earth trembled. The tribesmen looked around. What was happening? What was going on? Suddenly, a beautiful woman appeared from the king's body, keeping everyone scared and afraid. The woman was decorated with many golden ornaments, emitting a wonderful fragrance. Wearing an excellent multicolored garland around her neck, her eyebrows drawn in a mood of fierce anger, and her fierce red eyes ablaze. She looked like death personified, because she was angry with the tribesmen. With her blazing chakra discus, she quickly killed all the tribal hunters who had tried to slay the king. The same discus went, chopped all the 5 heads off, and all the bodies fell to the ground. Bang. With all that commotion, the king actually eventually woke up. And And he saw around him all these dead tribesmen carrying swords and spears. And he realized what he'd realized, they'd come to kill him, but now they were dead. He was astonished. These people, I know this tribe, they're a very deadly tribe, and they're enemies of mine. Who has slain them? Who is my friend? Who has saved me? At that very moment, he heard a voice from the sky. You asked that who helped you? Well, who is that person alone who can help anyone in distress? It is none other than Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He who takes shelter of him without any motive receives his mercy. Upon hearing these words, King Vasudev became overwhelmed with love for Lord Krishna. Eventually, with help from the Lord, he found his way home, and he returned to his capital city and ruled there like a second Lord Indra, who was king of the heavenly regions. So he ruled with great power without fear and without any problems. If you remember, this story was told by Vishishta Muni, so we're back to Vishishta Muni now. Vishishta Muni then concludes, so, King Mandata, I hope you liked the story. Therefore, O King, Vishishta Muni concluded, anyone who observes this holy Amalaki Ekadashi can attain the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. So great is the merit earned from the observance of this most sacred fast day. So then, Vishishta Muni said, because it is Amalaki Ekadashi, now you have you got any Amalaki bushes in your kingdom? He said, well, yes, I've got them in the courtyard. We have a temple of Vishnu and Shiva. So they went to the temple of Vishnu, and there was a Amalaki tree. And so Vishishta Muni and the king and all the other entourage, they all came and offered arti to the tree. So they used some incense, then they offered, I think it was some water, and definitely water for a plant, and then some flowers like this to the tree. And they also say, on this day, we are also advised to do that. However, it may be easier to worship Tulsi tree. That's also like a substitute, is a similar tree, is Tulsi. The Tulsi tree and the Amalaki tree have, I guess you could say they have something in common. They're both sacred trees. So if we don't have any Amalaki trees handy, then Tulsi is there. If you don't have any Tulsi handy, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So there you go. So that's the end of that story. Just 1 second, please. Narayan, how are we getting on? So is this, there we are. Look, you see? Do we have any Amalaki fruit? We've got some apples and oranges, but do we have any gooseberries? Last year we actually had some gooseberries to show you. So like little growing like that they are. Now normally my friend and colleague Vaishnav Prabhu is here to do this section, but today he's had to go for an emergency. So it's going to be down to myself to read who there's be some special people that we're going to have in our minds and in our hearts today, that we can remember, we can internally perhaps offer our blessings and our prayers for the well-being of these individuals that may be suffering in some way. I mean, the whole world, in one sense, is everybody in one degree is suffering, but when we turn to spiritual life, this is the true way of alleviation from suffering. So the names, I mean, every 2 weeks we do this. So in the last 2 weeks, the following names have been given to us with some various messages. So please bear with me. So Neil Grant. Neil Grant has a degenerative spinal disease and a numbness, therefore, in his legs, and he's suffering terrible pain. He's had 2 surgeries, and the second one, they cut a nerve which caused the numbness of his legs, and therefore he struggles to walk. So let's think about poor Neil there. Shanti Ram Lochan has recently been diagnosed with cancer. So please have our thoughts and prayers for this individual as well. And after this, we're going to be doing some chanting as well. So the best benefit we can give to people is the spiritual blessing, is the spiritual benefit. Nimalewati Maharaj Prasad as well has also been very sick. And Joe Guman has suffered a heart attack as well. So there's someone else who's been brought to our attention. So again, we have to the family there have asked us to mention him. Hemkuvaba Ratan Sin, Durba, also. Now, a senior Vaishnav in our community, His Grace of Kinchana Prabhu, is going through a critical health crisis. And at the moment, he's in local Watford General Hospital, so he's one of our own community. So again, please keep him in your prayers also. And also his wife, Janavi, in your prayers as well. May they both draw courage and spiritual strength from all your wishes and for the challenges ahead. A request from Raki Gandrokia. She would like to pray to Krishna for internal peace and devotion for herself, her husband, and her children, and wishes to have your peace and your blessings. We have in loving memory of Meenakshi Patel, who I believe passed away a few months ago on the 24th of October. Lord Krishna, please accept their dear departed mother's soul, comfort her, and bless her with your divine mercy and grace, Lord Krishna. May she find happiness at your lotus feet. Hare Krishna. In memory of Rajendra Kumar Gandhi, who this is going back a year now when he passed. Hare Krishna. Rest in peace for our Papa's soul. It has been a year of his sudden departure. It's been a hardest year for us. Lord, keep Papa's soul in his lotus feet. I'm sure he'll be serving the Lord wherever he is. Krishna, keep your mercy on Papa and keep it on us. Please work for you as Papa did. Another memory from, this is Nilesh Kumar Jetwa, quite a recent passing, I believe. So we're praying for his onward journey as well. As Srila Prabhupada over there, he said, if at the time of death one can remember Krishna, one's life is successful. Now, Nilesh was very fortunate, it says here, that to receive Ganga Jal, that's water from the river Ganges, in his mouth or in his head. The tulsi leaf on his tongue, very, very important, actually very good. And dust from the holy place of Vrindavan, where Krishna enacts his transcendental pastimes. And also, complete with people reciting the recitation of the Bhagavad Gita as well during his final moments. So that's very auspicious. A devotee is always begging the Lord for his mercy. And the family also would like to offer their great thanks for any of those who for their prayers and thoughts at this time and before the passing. Also, to dedicate today's prayers for Harish and Devin Drasya Jetwa. Hare Krishna. Jasin Dretwa, excuse me. Pray for Adi, whose upcoming birthday, which is just on the 24th of this month. Lord Nishinga, please protect him from all his inner anxieties. Shower your mercy upon him. Help him become a true devotee. Haribol. A prayer for Gita, requested by the family, including all of her grandchildren. And it's upcoming birthday as well on the 20th of this month. It says, Lord Yogeshwar, please give good health to our grandma. This is obviously from the grandchildren. Give strength to rejoin in your work that she forgets her pain of losing grandpa. A prayer for Arya Jeswanth. Now, Arya's birthday is actually today, the first birthday of their daughter, who's obviously about a year old now. And they ask people to pray for her good health and wellness at such a young age, it seems. So obviously a very auspicious life. And I've requested by Janvi Kushali Patel, God, please lead her the way and show her the blessings so she has the strength, the spiritual and mental strength to do well in her upcoming exams and other pressures of life, especially the exams. So thank you very much indeed for listening. And forgive me if I made any pronunciation errors as well. So what we're going to do, you'll see Narayan here has some beads with him. For those who want to chant on beads, who don't have some beads, Narayan will facilitate that. We're going to be doing one round of chanting Hare Krishna together for the spiritual benefit for ourselves, our own families, and all the people that we have mentioned today. So I'll just wait for the beads to go around. Some of you already have beads. Some of you may not want to use beads, which is fine. Everyone can do what they want. And other people may be happy just to listen as well. So those who don't know, there's 108 beads. And with our middle finger and our thumb, every time we say one mantra, we twizzle the bead before the next mantra, moving on to the next bead. So that means we're going to be doing, as 108 beads, therefore we're going to be chanting Hare Krishna 108 times. And it takes about 5 or 6 minutes. It's never easy to do it together, because sometimes some people want to go fast, don't they? Other people want to go slow. So those who like to go fast will have to slow down a bit. Those who like it slow will have to speed up. So we're all kind of on the same lane, as it were, on the motorway. So remember, we start off traditionally with the head bead. Some of you will have a little bit of a kind of an orange tuft on there. And you start, if the beads are different sizes, we start off with the small bead like that, usually. And I'm going to put my beads in a protective bag. It doesn't matter if you don't have a bag, like this. And we're going to be, main thing is we're praying to the Lord, Hare Krishna. Hare being the Lord's energy, personification of Radharani actually. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme personality of Godhead. And Rama means the supreme enjoyer rather, and Krishna means the all-attractive. So the actual prayer is, Dear Lord Krishna, kindly engage me in your loving devotional service. And this is actually the highest form of charity, the highest form of care, the highest form of philanthropy is actually spiritual philanthropy, because that is the true purpose of life, especially the human form of life, is to devote our lives as much as we can, or we're able to live a spiritual, simple life. So whatever material situation we find ourselves in, or our personal situation, or our health, or whatever, if we have spiritual strength, then this is actually the most important of all strengths. Okay, so I'll just say a quick mantra to begin, invocation mantra, and then we'll begin together. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. It is said that anyone who can become a pure devotee of the Lord actually liberates 7 generations of his family that follow and 7 generations before. So that's altogether 14 generations. In fact, 15 because your own generation as well. So that's the potency of chanting Hare Krishna. So I've finished my piece now. I'm sure you've heard enough from me. Now Narayan is very dutifully, I think, collecting all the japa beads. If you insist on keeping your own set, then I'm sure Narayan will be generous and let you keep it. He's not going to fight you for it. For the best things in life are free, actually. And so we're freely giving out this Hare Krishna mantra. So Narayan, would you like to explain what's going to happen next? I'm just going to pass you the microphone, actually, if you don't mind. I'm going to get up. There you go.
Hare Krishna. So those that are regular, you already know, we're going to do a worship of Lord Nrsimhadev. Yeah, and then at the end, we'll ask everyone to just come one at a time to offer some flowers to Nrsimhadev after the end, towards the end of the Arati, and then we'll get some prasad from Nrsimhadev. Yeah, so that's the conclusion. Afterwards, obviously, it might be just in time for well, we're a little early today, so we'll then Aarti begins at 9 o'clock. Darshan will open up, so if you like, you can always stay for the Aarti, and in this way conclude the evening with the Aarti. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So if some of the devotees know how to play the mridanga or kartal, if you can please help us through with the Nrsimha Aarti. That would be really helpful. Anyone knows mridanga here? Drum? Okay. Yeah. And anyone knows how to sing Nrsimhadev Aarati? Can you do that, Puji? Anyone else? Can anyone else sing Nrsimhadev? You want to try? Come, if you know, it's good opportunity. Don't worry. You don't sing on a mic. If you're loud enough, then it's fine.
Yeah, I'll just sing like that.
Yeah, yes, it's up to you. Yeah. So, yeah. No, Mati is here for singing.
Oh, I'll just move the gases back there. So.
Sure.
I'm just going to move these things out of the way, then we'll begin.
So, Radha Mahaprabhu, he has to go fulfill his household duties. So, we'll thank him. Thank you for the all the wonderful lecture.
Thank you for coming tonight. Hare Krishna.
And then we'll carry on with the singing. So, yeah. I'll be doing the puja. So, yeah, like that.
Hare Krishna.
Can anyone just try and play this? you, everyone. Thank you very much. I don't know the exact date for the next Ekadashi, but it'll be in 2 weeks. Hopefully you all got the calendar.
28th.
28th. 28th? Yeah?
Next Monday.
Okay, so we'll see you on the 28th. Yeah, 2 Mondays afterwards, yeah? On the 28th, hope to see you all again for the Ekadashi program. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.